day. Claudio, thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to help wrap this day. These are such interesting topics that everyone's talked about today. So we're excited to dig in a little bit on the intersection of creativity and Gen AI. I come from 20 years of film, more on the business strategy side, but I've been in that industry for a long time. And throughout that part of the industry, or through that part of my career, I saw the amazing efforts and passion around storytelling and all it took to bring stories to life on screen. And that, coming from a business background, that was really, really special for me to learn that and to go through that process with the creative executives. I think what I learned over those 20 years is, especially in the last 5, is that making those stories come to life on screen has become incredibly difficult. It takes a long time, it costs a lot of money, and hitting really global immersion is very difficult. So I actually was thinking about all of this when I was at Lionsgate of how do we actually have an impact where we can create margin, and it was really hard. So it was at that time, and this was before ChatGPT, so AI wasn't really talked about. I met the founders of Flawless, and just by happenstance, and I started talking to them about what they were building. And the tools they were building were blowing my mind. And I thought, this is the answer. These are gonna be transformational tools for the industry and game-changing. So today I just wanna hit on that a little bit of how we think this is gonna transform the creative industry and filmmaking, and then talk about how Flawless is gonna play a part in that. So not that long ago, 15 months ago, I joined Flawless, and it was, ooh, mood lighting, I love it. It makes the screen better when we share our videos. But when I first started, I had tons and tons of meetings. I mean, I probably had 150 meetings in the first 3 months, just telling people about what we were doing. And I think that the biggest thing and the biggest word that kept coming through in my meetings was fear. And I think when you think back 15 months, even last summer, AI was a word or a term that it was everywhere. And I don't think people really knew how to rationalize it or knew what the applications were. All they thought was like, oh my God, the movies I saw, it's taking over the world and we're all gonna die. And I think there were some fears that are founded in what we're going through. But a lot of that was just, I think people educating themselves, and I think people started doing that. And over the months following those conversations that I was having, the industry was learning and dabbling. And I think that then shifted to now, when we have meetings, we hear things like, I'm so curious about this, I'm really optimistic about the capabilities of this, and really intrigued to try it. And the biggest thing is, there's a fear of missing out. So for us at Flawless, we really dug into that enthusiasm, and we wanted to go a little deeper and talk to people more about what we believed at Flawless that was gonna happen in the industry. And that is human creativity with the addition of powerful AI technology leads to more impactful stories. And earlier today, people were talking about what breaks through, what makes people want to go to the movies or to watch content. And it's something that gives you this immersive experience and that really resonates. And that's something that we believe AI can do when put in the hands of creatives. Those deep stories and those impactful stories, we believe, lead to human connection. And when I first started at Flawless, that was a big reason I joined, is because I am a big believer in human connection and that we all need to be a little nicer to each other and understand each other. And maybe it's me being naive to think that we can possibly do this through film, but that's my hope. So this is, when I first started the company 2 weeks in, I went to London, and we're co-headquartered in London. And I was thinking about the technology we have, and one of the biggest things is we want to break down language barriers and provide perfectly synced dubs in all languages on the highest quality film, and really tell stories in the language that people speak. So I have this visual because I was on a train from Heathrow to central London. And I was just on the train, whatever, and it was a very packed train. And it just so happened that the big group of people around me were from the same friend and family circle, and they weren't speaking English. And so I realized, me being a social animal, I always want to engage with people, or at least know what they're talking about so I can smile or whatever, or add a little tidbit or something like that. Maybe that's annoying for people. But I was just trying to do that, and I realized I didn't know what anyone was saying. And I I really felt isolated on this massively packed train. And all I did was I just had my phone, and I just looked down at my phone, and I just felt alone. And it made me realize that if we can tell impactful stories in the language that people understand, that we could maybe have a deep impact.
Cool. So as Claudio mentioned, Jen and I worked together at Lionsgate for about 4 years in the motion picture group. At that time, she was the COO, so someone I really respected and had a lot of regard to. Over the course of the 4 years we worked together, had a lot of conversations, which ultimately led to me deciding to go back to business school and kind of invest in myself. And one of the things that Pepperdine teaches as an applied school is pay attention to new technology, embrace it, and really look for the technology that's going to be long-lasting, but identify companies too that are solving real-world issues, not just have tech for tech. So when Jen called me and approached me about the opportunity to join her at Flawless, I thought it was really cool. AI is such a hot topic. It would bring me back into entertainment. But I really wanted to understand what are the core problems that Flawless is out to solve with our technology. And we have heard this throughout this afternoon. Couple key issues facing this industry today: high production costs and limited audience reach. So if you're in the industry, you know it costs a ton of money these days to make content, and it's really difficult to make content travel and reach global audiences. And it doesn't really take someone who goes to business school to realize that if we at Flawless can help our partners achieve greater revenues for their films globally, and also simultaneously decrease the cost of production, the margins are going to increase, and that's going to lead to a long-term sustainable business. So while all those issues, or all those wanted me to join Jen at Flawless, it wasn't until I saw this next clip that we'll show you that really kind of proved how transformational the technology was.
Now we're stuck on this stupid tower in the middle of nowhere. And I don't blame you, and now we're stuck on this stupid freaking tower in the middle of freaking nowhere. And it's all my fault.
Y es todo por mi culpa.
Cool, so that clip blew my mind. Oh, thank you. So that clip blew my mind. I was sold. I think this is absolutely transformational technology, but alongside of that, Flawless has a few core pillars or values that underpin everything we do each day, and those are empowering creativity. So the tools that we're building today are for professional experts within their field. It's creative first, technology second. Clean data, I know that's been mentioned multiple times this afternoon as well. Flawless has made significant investments early on to ensure that our models are trained on ethically sourced and wholly owned data sets. And finally, rights management. Our co-founder, Scott Mann, he's a DGA director, he's in the WGA. Most of us come from the world of entertainment and care really deeply about the performers and rights holders in this industry. So consent and compensation in this new world of technology is absolutely at the forefront of what we do, and I think the sustainable companies in this space who are treating it delicately are going to be the ones that last a long time.
I just want to add too, we started talking to SAG about 2 years ago, before this technology went live, and they really appreciated that we went to them before we released it, and we actually worked with them during the negotiations to come up with language and the right sort of consent and compensation for the work out of the SAG deal.
Cool, so we're currently working on several full-length feature films right now, and we actually just completed one, and we have a short clip to show you of that film.
Wait, so my dad's car and the airplane ended up where they did because of a wormhole.
And why wasn't Dad in his car?
Because he got out.
On the other side.
So my dad's alive.
Police! Open the door!
And here's a clip of what that film looked like before Flawless started working on it.
Vänta, så pappas bil och flygplanet hamnade alltså där de hamnade på grund av ett maskhål?
Varför var han inte i bilen då?
För att han klev av. hos de som skapar det.
Så... Pappa lever.
I think a big takeaway is that unless anyone in the audience speaks Swedish, that movie is very unapproachable unless it's in your native language. So with TrueSync, it's kind of our signature tool. It really is meant to engage a global audience with perfectly lip-synced media in any language. And our thesis is that it's global content for global audiences. It's going to create a more immersive audience experience. Hopefully you just felt that. And it's a fraction of the cost if instead of going back to set and doing a full remake of that film in a new language. So on the other side of the spectrum, while TrueSync is really a distribution tool, Deep Editor is a professional tool for post-production folks, filmmakers, editors, and it's really going to enable you to make dialogue changes without having to go back to set. So once filmmakers and editorial teams are trained up on how to properly use this tool, it's going to allow for an increased on-set filming efficiency, again, saving time and money over going to reshoots, and there's more flexibility and creativity in post-production to allow those tools or those users to perfect their story. And we have a quick demo of a screen grab of this tool in action. So before I hit play, I'll just try to set it up for you as best as possible. Over here on the right side of the screen, that's a scene in a movie that our co-founder directed called Fall. This is a scene that's in the movie. And you'll notice when I hit play that the character with the dark hair, she does not have a line of dialogue. But we want to have a line of dialogue in that scene. And on the left-hand side, she's laying down the line of dialogue we want in a cut scene. So that's a movie that was going to be a scene that was going to be thrown out, not used, but she consented to and gave that line during production. And this tool is going to allow us to move that line into the scene that we want. So I'll hit play.
Facing your fears, you are so much stronger than you think you are.
Hunter, I just can't.
Cool, so again, on the right-hand side, that's the scene that's in the movie. Left-hand side, we want that line. So what we're looking at now is Avid, a very common post-production tool for editorial teams, and it's enabling now a Deep Editor plugin. So basically, as soon as you enable that plugin, you're gonna get over to the Deep Editor view. And the first kind of thing you're gonna do is just recheck that the line and the performance you want.
Hunter, I just can't.
There you go, is exactly the one that you want to transfer over. Again, just another shot. She is not saying anything in that scene. And really, it's as simple as a drag of drop the line that you want from the left over to this performance you want on the right. And you can see that in the scene on the left, it's completely different hair, completely different makeup, completely different lighting conditions. But the tool is basically learning the performance, and that's a key thing here. It's only taking those performance elements. And the first thing you get is basically, a preview. So right here.
Hunter, I just can't.
So that's a preview of the line that we wanted. And now at this stage, you can, if you're the editor or the artist, you can kind of make some changes to the driving data to the right if you need to. But if everything looks good, you could just render that out from a 3D space into 2D.
Hunter, I just can't.
And that's a photorealistic performance of that cut sign.
So this, for us, is all about empowering creatives, and people have said that all day today. It's about putting tools in the hands of creatives. So for us, this is just a little picture of creative people using powerful tools, and I can't say it enough again. It starts with human creativity and then is supplemented by really powerful tools to help execute a vision that this creative person has. For an industry impact, we believe like this used at scale will have an immediate impact in solving all those problems that Daniel has talked about, that people have talked about all day, which is minimal revenue. I think you can get more revenue from titles that resonate and that are in really global stories told in the language of the territory. So really opening up the revenue and decreasing the cost. So both sides of your P&L are very happy and your margins increase. And I think at scale, the studios and filmmakers can really benefit from this in a meaningful way. As it does scale, ultimately, all the struggles that we're seeing at a lot of the studios, and like I said, to make a movie takes long and it's expensive. If we can do this at scale, we can actually grow this industry again that we all love and grow the storytelling world. So we're excited to play a part in that and helping it grow and thrive. So we just wanted to show you a little bit of behind the scenes of that movie you just saw earlier called UFO Sweden. And this is a little bit of how it was made.
You know, we're on to something big here.
Newton är mätvärde för gravitation. Uno hade en teori att varje gång som SMHI:s prognoser slog fel.
Det är omöjligt att skapa ett maskhål utan att andra tider och platser möts, och det är precis det som har hänt.
Det är att vi försöker lösa det här. Men vi gör det. We try to resolve this, but we do it together.
Varför har de här summorna inte redovisats?
Do I need to be worried about this?
Ja, jag förstår ju hur det här låter.
Well, I realize how this looks.
Pappa lever. My dad's alive.
Du har rätt. Vi ringer UFO Sweden. You're right. We better call UFO Sweden.
And then we're close to finishing that movie, and we are going to release that in US theaters in August, September, which we're really excited about. This will be the first ever AI technology dubbed, would you call it visual dubbing or vubbed title that will be seen. And we know these actors that will only have any visibility in Sweden will now have the eyeballs of the US, which is really unheard of. And we kind of hope this will create more global stars from non-English speaking territories. So we're excited about that. We did, after the translation, we tested this movie at AMC Burbank, where a lot of the testings are done for films. And we did a little focus group at the end, and we got some audience testimonials that we just wanted to share with you because we thought they were really fun and maybe a little bit a sign of the future.
And real quick, I'll just add that the actors in UFO Sweden, bilingual, so they did their English voiceover recording.
I thought it was brilliant. I think it's like one of the best films I've seen in years.
I really liked it. I thought it was nostalgic and artsy.
It was refreshing, great storyline, amazing acting, great directing. The cinematography was brilliant. It was super refreshing.
It was basically like if Steven Spielberg directed like a whole episode of The X-Files. It's got that like colorful, whimsical charm.
You're just immediately on, and you're on the journey with the crew, and I thought the crew was very funny.
It wasn't forced in the comedy. I enjoyed the story. I didn't expect certain parts, a lot of parts I didn't expect. So for me, I had a great time. I really liked it. Yeah.
The cast was all like super charming and had great chemistry and was very quirky together.
The lady with the cigarette in her mouth pulled.
Oh, she was fantastic.
She was my favorite.
She was fantastic.
She's my mother now.
Did you notice that it was originally in Swedish and dubbed throughout them while you're watching? No, not at all.
They're all speaking English, and you can see their lips. They're talking in English, and I thought, isn't this a foreign film? What's going on here? So I'm like, they didn't do any trickery, did they? And then, yeah, they did. Yeah.
I really think that this is going to make foreign films more accessible to Americans or other audiences that might be less inclined to read subtitles.
It opens up a whole world of films for people to watch.
Somebody who's scrolling through like Netflix and they want to watch a thriller or a horror movie that's foreign, they're much more likely to give it a try. If you see a clip and they're just talking in English, they'll give it a try instead of like going past it because they see subtitles.
I know it's kind of controversial for like film snobs to be like, no, you gotta watch the original performance. You can't do anything wrong with it. If more foreign films were like this, hell yeah, dude, I'd be more on board.
In summary, hell yeah, dude, is I think the takeaway there. So I think for us, responsible AI specifically, I'm just going to say that because we all know that there's misuse, but responsible AI we think is going to have a profound and lasting impact on filmmaking for sure. And but we definitely believe that it begins and ends with humans. Humans are the ones with the dreams and the experiences to create amazing stories, and humans are the ones that are going to use these tools to bring their stories to life. So we just really, at Flawless especially, we focus on that, and we think that those stories, again, will form this deep human connection and hopefully make this world a better place. but you know, we strongly believe that, and I am really excited personally to see where this all goes. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.